In a peaceful neighborhood in Enugu lived a man named Brian. He was respected by many people because he was quiet, neat, and always protected his family. He had 2 daughters, twins named Tonia and Tamara. They were so beautiful that people called them the sun and the moon. Everyone who saw them smiled. Ah! See beauty. These girls go marry governor one day, neighbors would say. But something was strange in their home. The girls didn't laugh like other children. They were always quiet, even when people gave them sweets. Their eyes looked like they were always hiding something. Their mother, Alma, was a busy woman. She worked in a bank and came home late at night, very tired. Sometimes, the girls were already sleeping when she arrived. Alma believed her husband was caring for the children while she chased money for the family. One day, Alma's brother, Uncle Ibuka, came to visit. He was an elder from the village. He looked at the girls and said, "Why are they always quiet? Girls this beautiful should be laughing like bells." Mr. Brian laughed. "They're shy, that's all." But Uncle Ibuka wasn't sure. "Shy children laugh when they are safe," he said in his mind. "Even the most beautiful houses can have silent cries inside. When children are quiet, listen closely." Alma loved her job. She worked in a bank and was very proud of her smart clothes and her monthly salary. Every day, she woke up early, made quick breakfast, kissed her children on the forehead, and rushed out. She did not see how Tonia's smile was fake. Or how Tamara looked down when her father entered the room. Every night, Mr. Brian helped them bathe and tucked them in. He would say, "No need to wait for your mummy. She's tired. Just sleep." Tonia and Tamara wanted to talk, but fear kept their mouths shut. Alma believed she was doing her best. She paid school fees, cooked on weekends, and bought them nice clothes. But she never asked them the most important question. "Are you truly happy?" One night, Uncle Ibuka couldn't sleep. He felt disturbed. Something told him to check on his sister's family. He wore his wrapper, took his walking stick, and called a kiki to the city. When he reached the house, it was late. Mr. Brian opened the door, surprised. "Ah, Uncle. What brings you here by this time?" Brian asked. "I came to see my nieces," Uncle Ibuka said firmly. Inside, the girls' eyes lit up. They hugged their uncle. But they looked at their father with fear. Ibuka sat with them and asked simple questions. Their answers were short. Tamara's eyes became wet. She tried to hold her tears, but one dropped. Ibuka noticed it. He didn't say a word that night, but he knew. That night, while Mr. Brian slept, Uncle Ibuka called the girls into the room. "Talk to me, children. I am here now." At first, they were quiet. Then Tamara whispered, "Uncle, promise you won't leave us." "I promise," Ibuka said, holding their hands. Tonia looked down. "Daddy is not who you think he is." Their words came slowly. Heavy like stones. Ibuka's eyes filled with tears as he listened. He hugged them tight. Outside the door, Brian stood silently, listening. The next morning, Ibuka waited for Alma to return from work. When she walked in, he said, "We need to talk." Alma smiled. "Is it about the twins?" "They're fine." "No, Alma," he said. "They are not fine." He told her everything. The words hit her like thunder. Alma's hand shook. "No. It can't be true." "Brian? My husband?" Tonia and Tamara couldn't look at her. Alma sat on the floor and cried. She remembered the nights she stayed away. The days they needed someone to talk to and she dismissed them, the times she ignored their sad eyes. She screamed, "What kind of mother am I?" But it was too late. Alma didn't wait for morning. She called Brian into the living room right away. "Brian!" she shouted, voice shaking, "Is it true?" Brian looked calm. Too calm. He sat down, crossed his legs, and said, "What are you talking about?" Uncle Ibuka stood up, tall and firm. You know what she's talking about. Brian didn't deny it. He looked at his daughters and said quietly, they are mine. I raised them. I protected them. Alma screamed. You violated them. The twins hugged each other tightly, their eyes full of fear. Brian stood up slowly. You were never home. I was the only one there. Don't act holy now. Alma collapsed on the floor. She cried so loud the neighbors came knocking. That night, Ibuka took the girls to his house. He called the police. When Brian saw the police car stop by the gate, he knew it was time. He quickly packed some clothes, some cash, and slipped out the back door. He ran through the dark street, thinking no one saw him. But one neighbor, Madame Titi, was watching from her window. She saw the bag. She saw the fear in his eyes. She called Uncle Ibuka. He's running, she whispered. Brian disappeared that night. Alma reported him. The police began searching. The next day, the news spread like wildfire. The handsome man everyone respected, Mr. Brian, was now a wanted criminal. Women shook their heads. So this was what he was hiding? Men looked at their daughters more carefully that night. Tonia and Tamara were taken to the hospital. They needed help. Healing. Alma stayed beside them. She barely ate. She barely slept. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she whispered every night. But they didn't answer. Their hearts were tired. 2 officers came to see Alma. Ma, we've added Brian to the national wanted list, one officer said. Did the girl speak? Another asked. Alma nodded. They told the doctor. Everything. The officer sighed. He will be found. He cannot hide forever. Tamara looked up and whispered, I just want him to disappear. Tonia didn't speak at all. That night, Uncle Ibuka called a counselor from the city. Someone trained to help children who carry heavy pain. Tonia and Tamara's school found out. Their classmates stared at them. Is it true? One girl asked. Did your daddy? Another whispered. The girls stopped going to school. It was too hard. Alma cried again. I should have been there. I should have seen the signs. But pain doesn't listen to regrets. So Alma got up. She told the girls, we will get through this. I promise. They didn't believe her yet. But she said it again. The counselor's name was Auntie Stella. She had a soft voice and warm eyes. She came 3 times a week. At first, the twins didn't say much. Then Tamara opened up. She talked about the nights she couldn't sleep. How Brian's footsteps scared her. Tonia listened but stayed quiet. She hadn't cried yet. Auntie Stella said, healing takes time. There is no rush. And for the first time, Tonia held her sister's hand without fear. Uncle Ibuka took them to the village. Sometimes, the land heals what the city breaks, he said. They walked through farms. Old women blessed them. May your days be brighter, my children, one said. They stayed 2 weeks. No one asked questions. No one gave pity. Only love. When they returned to the city, Tamara smiled for the first time. Alma saw it. Her heart lifted a little. One night, Tonia woke up shaking. She cried and cried. Alma ran in and held her. I'm here. I'm here. Tonia whispered, why did he choose me? Alma didn't have the answer. She just rocked her daughter and cried with her. That night, the silence finally broke. Tonia cried till her body slept. And Alma didn't leave her side. Months passed. Alma started speaking out. She told her story in churches, schools, and radio stations. I wasn't there. But now, I am. People listened. Other mothers started asking their children questions. Alma created a group called Silent Tears. It helped children speak. Tonia and Tamara watched their mother. She was no longer blind. She was a lioness. One sunny morning, the girls put on their school uniforms again. They were not fully healed. But they were stronger. Alma waved from the gate. "Go and shine," she said. Uncle Abuka smiled. "You see? The fire didn't burn them. It made them gold." Tonia looked at Tamara. "We are going to be okay." Tamara nodded. "Yes. We are." And with their backs straight, they walked into a new day. Morals. Always listen when children are silent. Their silence speaks louder than words. A broken home can be mended, but not if the silence remains.
Thanks for watching this amazing video. Please like and subscribe to this channel for more amazing stories like this. Also turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos.